All right, as I record this, we are freshly out of the NFL draft. We just saw pick 32, and we are going to do the quickest impulse grades that you have ever seen. Ender's going to read the name of the player off. I'm going to shoot a grade, maybe a short reason why. Do not take anything you hear here with a grain, or with like any sort of seriousness, because I am no draft expert. Yeah, fire away. Let's go.
Pick 1, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana.
He's probably not going to play like at all this year just because of Kirk Cousins. He might see a little bit of time depending on what Kirk we get, but I think it's real to say the Raiders probably get their franchise quarterback. Probably a fucking A.
Pick 2, David Bailey, edge from Texas Tech.
I like him for the Jets. They needed a lot of help on the defense last year. And I think for where they were, there's probably something that they really liked with Bailey. He wasn't considered the best edge in the class, but I do think he's got a lot of upside. I'll throw him a B+.
Pick 3, Jeremiah Love, running back from Notre Dame.
I feel like the Cardinals were really, really, really down bad for like any spark on the defense, and I feel like there were still a lot of really, really good players at the defense. I think they kind of took like a best player available approach, which I don't fully hate, but I feel like they could have still gotten really good running back value on day 2 in somebody like I may have deleted my... I did delete my tab here, so I can't pull a name right out of my ass. I don't hate it, but the approach was certainly a little interesting. I'll throw it like a C.
The Titans taking Carnell Tate, wide receiver from Ohio State.
Definitely not like the best perceived wide receiver in the draft, but they do get Cam Ward a weapon. I'll slide him a B. B+. I'll slide him a B+.
The Giants take Avril Reese, edge from Ohio State.
That's interesting because like I don't know how to interpret this because like they straight up took an edge rusher, and I don't feel like they really addressed the loss of Dexter Lawrence all that much. I do feel like they're going to make something out of that. They get a guy opposite Kayvon Thibodeau, although I do wonder at what point like if he's more to be the Thibodeau replacement just because that experiment hasn't fully worked out. B-.
Kansas City trading up to get Mansour Delane, as cornerback from LSU.
Yeah, first DB taken off of the board, and God did like Kansas City came into this draft needing DB as like top priority. Like because they shipped off their top 2 guys. Trent McDuffie's obviously kind of a big loss there, and the Rams get better in that regard. And now, considering they've got to contend with Jalen Waddle, I think it could sift out to be a decent counter there. I do think taller receivers are going to pick on him bad, though, or just good jump ball receivers. But for like where they were drafting for need and for not really giving up like a too shitload amount to trade up, I'll throw Casey a solid B. Man, yeah, B.
The Commanders taking Sonny Style, OB from Ohio State.
I was kind of surprised that wasn't CJ Allen. Like, I honestly wonder like what got CJ Allen punted out of the first. To be completely honest, I do think it feels a need for them. Maybe there were some more dynamic options left on the board. I'm gonna throw out a lot of B grades here. Throw Washington a B as well.
The Saints taking Jordan Tyson, a wide receiver from Arizona State.
It's kind of the rinse and repeat of where I went with Carnell Tate. And I think Jordan Tyson is like definitely top 3 receivers in the draft just from everything that I've heard. I do think if I remember right, he had a couple of issues. It almost makes me wonder like if he's going to be another Michael Thomas. Maybe a little too high, especially for the concerns. I think there were better receivers or like better suited receivers, I guess, because they are taking a huge risk injury-wise with Jordan Tyson. So I will chuck that context appropriate instant reaction, maybe B-.
The Browns taking Spencer Fano, OT out of Utah.
It really feels like they haven't got offensive tackle like nailed down since Joe Thomas retired. You're protecting who we assume is going to be your starter in 2026. I have to imagine it's going to be Shadur, and he is going to need all the time he can get behind the line as he develops. A-.
The Giants taking Francis. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his last name from for an OT from Miami.
Kind of rinse and repeat on the Cleveland thing. I think those picks, like where they were taking them, like are kind of interchangeable. You're never gonna hear me bitch out a team for taking quarterback protection. Early, I mean, it was a need. Like I'll toss them an A minus too.
The Cowboys swapping picks with the Dolphins for Caleb Downs, a safety from Ohio State.
That was kind of wild, and safety's going to be really interesting for Dallas. Like their defense was awful last year, and they got carved up over the top. They did sign PJ Locke, and I did think that there were a lot of really there were some intriguing safety options that they maybe could have got tomorrow or even like later in the I feel like with the way the board was dropping and with the way nobody took defensive backs like at all, I'd argue that they could have stood pat where they were and still got Caleb Downs. I almost want to throw that a C. Not the selection itself because it's a damn good player. But oh no, this is the one that they just immediately swapped with Miami, huh?
Yeah.
B plus. B plus. I don't feel like the trade
You
up
got
was
Miami.
necessary.
You have Miami, who traded their pick with the Cowboys to take Caden Proctor, an OT from Alabama.
You need no lineman for Malik Willis. You're not going to hear me bitch about that. A minus.
The Rams with the surprising quarterback pick, Ty Simpson from Alabama.
Wow. Man, I just feel like this wasn't the class to get Stafford's successor. Genuinely. Like that one was shocking. Like he's not even gonna play like almost at all next year. I almost want to throw like just a C plus on that, but like so, it just we're not gonna have any sort of grade on like especially like all these picks. Obviously, like we're not gonna be able to legit grade until like year 4. But like Ty Simpson especially just feels so out there to me because we're not gonna know what he is like anything about him until either late in 26 in an ideal scenario for the Rams or 27. Long term, like I think it works out. I just think like it's a weird class to take a quarterback. I'll throw him the C plus and leave it alone.
The Ravens are taking all of the Vega guard from Penn State.
Who was it that they traded or that they lost? Because they lost a big guard to the Raiders. You're drafting for need there, and again, you're never gonna hear me bitch about protecting quarterbacks. He could end up slotting in as a pretty solid replacement. I'm probably gonna be a lot higher on some of these guys, but like a lot of these teams were legit drafting for need. I'll throw that like a B plus.
Tampa Bay drafting Reuben Bain Jr., edge out of Miami.
That one was kind of interesting because their defense did really fall apart down the stretch, and they were not generating any sort of fucking pass rush at all. Something that that I really noticed with this class is you had a lot of teams drafting for need. And I'm willing to hand out an A minus there.
The Jets drafting Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon.
Big weapon for Geno this year, and then for whoever goes forward next season. At quarterback, whether or not it's Geno or a rookie, God knows what's going to happen to the Jets. I don't hate it in concept. It's like he is such a dynamic player, and I feel like the Jets outside Garrett Wilson needed help, whether it was for like from that inside spot at tight end or what have you. Like they needed help. B plus, yeah, B plus for the value.
The Detroit Lions drafting Blake Miller, OT from Clemson.
Blake Miller, let me think about this for a second. Because something that, like, I shouldn't have closed that website. Because I want to know kind of, like, where he ranked in the overall prospects. And I only wonder that because, like, value is something that I feel like I do need to actually think about here. Like Blake Miller like isn't a bad idea, and like the Lions do need someone opposite Penei Sewell. This one was definitely a bit of a reach when I feel like there were still better options on the table. C.
The Minnesota Vikings taking Caleb Banks, a DT out of Florida.
Yeah, they need defensive help. They needed a defensive tackle pretty badly. I can't remember if Caleb Banks was considered technically the best defensive tackle on the board. Maybe I should have been a little more uh thorough about this. Or I guess just D lineman now that I'm looking at it, because there's no like defensive tackle. Oh, there is a defensive tackle only thing. Yeah, like there were still better guys, technically available here. Like this one is kind of another like big reach, a little bit. Maybe he is just more of a pure defensive lineman. I don't know. I feel like it'll depend on how he gets used. Maybe they try to use him a little more inside, but I feel like you could have made out with a Cade McDonald or a Peter Woods, especially at this point. C plus.
The Carolina Panthers drafting Monroe Freeling, OT out of Georgia.
Yeah, pass pro was kind of a issue for them last year. Bryce Young, I like that experiment is still ongoing with Bryce Young. I think the Panthers are going to extend him one more year, or like give him one more year, like of lifeline before he gets relegated to a career backup or something. But you got to give him the chance to succeed, and improving at offensive tackle is a big thing there. B plus.
The Eagles trading up for Mekhi Lemon, a wide receiver out of USC.
Part of me wonders if this just like confirms that AJ Brown is getting traded at some point. And if he is, I think Lemon is a pretty solid replacement. If not, I think he slots in really well as a wide receiver too. Although he'll probably be more of like a slot guy, wide out 3, while he develops behind Devontae Smith. I do think it gives the Eagles something more dynamic to work with. Sean Mannion is the new OC, especially. He's probably pretty happy about this. I can't really think of like any other crazy pressing needs. Maybe offensive tackle just to like get a Lane Johnson replacement. Not a bad pick though. I did think pretty highly of Mekhi Lemon. I will toss that in A minus. A minus. And again, for the viewers at home, I just need people to know, again, I am no draft expert. I'm just shooting this off of the hip, barely knowing shit about college football. I'm going off of the scouting reports that we grazed over after the guy was picked. So keep that in mind.
The Eagles. Not the Eagles, the Steelers. Taking Max. I'm not going to attempt it. OT out of Arizona State.
Max Ahichinor, I think is how you pronounce it.
I
no
sure.
no matter who their quarterback is, like their O-line was kind of shit last year. Any attempt to actually improve at it is respected in my book. He's kind of in the same spot as Blake Miller was, like not the greatest, and there might have been better guys available where he was at, or like where he got picked. Maybe not objectively, of course, we have no way of knowing that. But even like at the time, like I think Lomu was still on the board. Pregnan fell completely out of the first round. Maybe there's something they didn't love there with him. I don't hate it though. Like you do got to protect your guy no matter who's going to be back there. If it's A-Rod, you're going to need all the protection you can get because he is old, cannot move like he used to. B plus.
The Chargers taking Akeem Mesidor, edge from Miami.
I didn't feel like edge was like the huge thing the Chargers really needed to go for in the first round. Like I could have legit like seen them going after a wideout, or maybe something along the offensive line, like at guard or something. Just because, especially after injuries, like that was such a huge problem for them last year, or maybe even something at center. Um, Defensively, I do feel like they could have used a little more help, maybe on the in the secondary. I don't know. Like that one just felt like a weird pick to me. I will throw that like a solid C minus.
The Cowboys trading down for Malachi Lawrence, edge from UCF.
You certainly did need your replacement for God, Micah Parsons. I am blanking on names right now. I just don't know that he was like still the best guy you could have gone out and got because like Kendrick Falk, Slips, T.J. Parker are all guys like these are guys ranked ahead of Malachi Lawrence, like a Zion Young from Memphis, Akeem Mesidor. Oh no, he went earlier. Never mind. Never mind. But like R. Mason Thomas, Cassius Howell. Maybe a bit of a reach. Maybe they see something in him that they specifically like. Still feels like a reach a little bit, but it was a trade down. C plus.
The Browns taking Casey Conception from wide right receiver from A&M.
Yeah, so everyone knows how I feel about Jerry Jeudy, and holy God, the Browns needed weapons because it was basically Jerry Jeudy and then who? Um, B plus.
The Bears taking Dylan Thieneman at S safety from Oregon.
Yeah, the
My,
guy's
it is late.
the guy's kind of an athletic freak. Ran a 4.340, and the Bears needed serious help in the secondary. I'm willing to toss that an A. I feel like that is such good. Like you're getting a damn good player right there.
The Texans taking Keelan Rutledge, guard from Georgia Tech.
You did. The Texans invested a lot in the offensive line over the offseason. I feel like they
This
signed
is a
like
trade from the Bills.
right, and they signed like two different guys. I like the idea, and especially where like C.J. Stroud just looks gun shy at this point in his career. Like you do need guys to like plug and play on that offensive line immediately. I don't hate it. I don't know where he would have slotted for value. I'm kind of trying to go quick here for the sake of time. Let me go find him real quick and just like where he might have been valued. Let me see if I can just find guards real quick because you said he was a guard, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me go find him real quick. Again, just like some weird names that like rank ahead of the guy. Just in the class here, like Jennings Dunker, Chase Bisonets. I probably said that wrong. I probably butchered that. And again, like Emmanuel Pregton. And maybe it's a scheme thing. Maybe they see something that somebody else doesn't. Feels like a smidge. Maybe not a reach. They still got pretty decent value for Rutledge. B plus.
And a trade from the 49ers, the Dolphins selected in the 27th pick Chris Johnson, cornerback from San Diego State.
Yeah, they kind of really had nothing to work with. Just like defensively, like they're rebuilding that whole team. I think that's really interesting, and especially where Halfley like does run some pretty like zone heavy shit. Like he will just like book into cover 3. I think that'll really set him up for success early, but I really think he needs to work on the man to man. I do feel like that there were other things that they could have taken there. I feel like D line wouldn't have hurt. I feel like another offensive lineman wouldn't have hurt him there either. Uh, B minus.
And a trade up from the Bills, the Patriots selected Caleb Lemieux, an OT from Utah.
Which really kind of shocked me because I don't think they lost either of their starting offensive tackles to free agency like at all. So it makes me wonder, like, okay, like, are they trying to replace Will Campbell or who's their guy on the right side? Oh, Morgan Moses, and he's older and pissed. Okay, so there's like a succession plan there that I can see from New England. Okay, I understand it a little more now. Idea's not bad, and I really like the value getting Caleb Lomu there. I will float that in A minus.
Kansas City Chiefs picking up Peter Woods, DT from Clemson.
Chris Jones replacement, guy that was pretty high on the board. I hate to hand it to him, but that's A minus. That's a damn good steal for the perceived value at that point.
Jets taking a national champion Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver from Indiana.
Another big weapon. I do still think they have needs in the secondary that I feel like they could have addressed there. Really, it's kind of pick your poison with the Jets right now because they do have so many goddamn picks to play with. And I B.
The Titans, in a trade up from the Bills, take Kendrick Folk, edge from Auburn.
They get, I think, the second best listed or third best ranked prospect at the edge position. His like average rank was like 20, so like it is decent value. And where the Titans are like straight up in a rebuild right now, like you do want to get your edge guy set. I think at the B plus.
And the final pick of the first round, the Seahawks taking Jadarian Price, a running back from Notre Dame.
Canine replacement. Considering I don't know what they're really gonna do at RB1. I don't know if Price is going to slot in as an RB1 automatically. He probably could, maybe not a 3-down back fully yet, but he could be like first, second down guy. Considering you did need to replace Kenneth Walker's production, not bad. It's kind of the argument that I made earlier with George or Love. I feel like they could have gone somewhere else. But I don't hate it. I'll throw it a B minus. Yeah, we'll call it a B minus.
Yep.
Anyways, if you're seeing this right after the draft again, I would like to make it known that I am no draft expert, and we will not know anything about these players until really 2029. But with that being said, don't forget to like and sub to my channel. Don't forget to go sub to Ender's channel with Who's Your Sports Talk. I'm just going to throw this up and upload it, and the video where I probably have the stupidest takes ever is probably going to be the one that goes the most viral. So, yep, have a good night. See ya.